773-0490. Those telephone numbers once again are 773-0390 and 773-0490. And please don't forget, for those of you who are calling from outside of the Virgin Islands, you will need to use the 340 area code in order to get through. Yes. Right about now, time in our studios about 26 minutes before the hour of 9 o'clock. We apologize for the late start. Had some stuff on try to. But we're here to let you know to start, and we have the legendary one waiting in the wings, and he is going to tell us about the beautiful morning time and the banana tree.
Morning time, everybody wake up morning time. They come
You
from
were just up in
morning,
Seaside, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm proud of you. Know.
time. They come from mountain, they come from mountain, from mountain time. Wake up this beautiful morning, enjoy the blessings of the beautiful God.
Yeah, man.
Tell
Next week
my
is
walk
Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
hear the dog morning time. Everybody wake up morning. Come from mountain, they come from mountain, they come from mountain. They come from mountain, they come from mountain. Tell me you want to be
Mm. Start the around.
not to address the double that we have in the question. We not to be over morning time. Everybody wake up tonight. Come on, come on. They come from mountain, they come from mountain, from mountain. They tell my girl, you must remember that you born in Jamaica. I intended to live happy and raise a family. I don't know how you're doing it right. Smelling the old man's tobacco pipe. I know you're coming back on your begging, but I'll be waiting for you in Latin. To remind you about morning time. Everybody wake up morning time. They come from mountain, they come from mountain, they come from mountain side. They come from mountain, they come from mountain side. Wake up this beautiful morning, enjoy the presence of the tree, into the beautiful garden. Tell my walk the banana trees. I hear the talk of morning time. Everybody wake up morning time. They come from mountain, they come from mountain, they come from mountain side. They come from mountain, they come from mountain, from mountain.
Oh yes, man. They always come from mountainside. That's the legendary one. King Solomon and morning time. Yes, well, here we are again on a Friday morning, and I'd like to send out my condolences and uh, sympathies to all those who have lost loved ones in these past few weeks. Especially, I'd like to send out my condolences to the Milligan family on the passing of Marcia. Uh, I know her from school. We weren't in the same class, but we were in school together. We were out at Central High together, and maybe a few others who I hope I'm not missing, but condolences, sympathies going out to all those who have lost loved ones. Yes. And yes, here we are again, Friday morning. And last week I started to do started a review of a new book written by Judge Harold Willock's book entitled "By the Bayside." Yes, by the Bayside, and you know, It's a title that we all should, it's a phrase that we are all familiar with. You know, it's a down by the bayside and, by the bayside and around the bayside and all these type of phrases were used many years ago. But it's a new book that he has written, and it has it was designed to be a text, a school textbook, and it seemed as if from the language uh, I would just take a guess and say the book would apply to 4 through 6. Uh, yes, fourth grade, fifth grade, and the sixth grade, and possibly into the middle school, the junior high school, 7th and 8th graders could possibly use this book because it's not written in any difficult language, but the ideas are, and the language is easy to read, and we have pictures, and well, when you come across words or phrases that you're not familiar with, then you go to the dictionary, or you ask someone who would be more knowledgeable about you, and that's the way you do it. That's the way you increase your vocabulary. You go to the dictionary, find that word, find the meaning of the word, find how it is used. Some words are used in maybe two, three different contexts. Depends. But it's an easy read. It's very easy to read, and that's why I'm saying it seemed as if the book was written for 4 through 6th grade at the elementary level. But to me, it seems as if it can also be used on the junior high level also. But before I get into continuing my review of the book, I may just read my daily maxims and wisdom teachings that come from our ancient ancestors. Maxims that we can live by. These are principles, values that we can live by to make our lives much better. When a man teaches, he speaks to the future. When a man teaches, he speaks to the future. Speak ma'at, do ma'at. Speak ma'at, do ma'at. And we know that ma'at is the ancient symbol for truth, justice, and righteousness. Truth, justice, and righteousness. And to these we may add balance, harmony, and reciprocity. Balance, harmony, and reciprocity. And it is by living these principles, living these values, is why our ancestors were able to build great civilizations and have them last a long, long time because they were built on good foundations. Strive for excellence in all you do so that no fault can be found in your character. Strive for excellence in all you do so that no fault can be found in your character. It is in the development of character that instruction succeeds. It is in the development of character that instruction succeeds. Do ma'at that you might live long upon the earth. Do ma'at that you might live long upon the earth. Ma'at is that which endures and raises a person and a people up. Ma'at is that which endures and raises a person and a people up. Sweeter is the water of one who has given than the wine of one who has received. Sweeter is the water of one who has given than the wine of one who has received. Do to the doer that he may also do. Do to the doer that he may also do. Let your generosity reach one who needs it. Let your generosity reach one who needs it. It is not food or wealth which sustains a people and a community. It is righteousness. It is not food or wealth which sustains a people and a community. It is righteousness. When character is lost, all is lost. When character is lost, all is lost. The ruin of a nation begins in the homes of its people. The ruin of a nation begins in the homes of its people. And those are some of the wisdom teachings that come from our ancestors many thousands of years ago. And they still hold true, they're still pertinent, they're still profound, and still worth practicing to this day. Now, I'm going to do a recap of the book. I'm going to get to this book, By the Bayside, written by Judge Harold Willox. And I would imagine the way how the book is designed, how it was written, it was designed to be a textbook, a text to be used in the schools and more than likely the public schools. However, I have no idea if the books are being used or if they are planned to be used, if there is any plan or any intention to use these books. I don't know if the Department of Education was able to get hold of these books to include in the curriculum. I don't know any of that because the that is basically the responsibility of the author, the writer of the book. I don't know what plans he has, and so I can't really jump in front of him and just assume that what he's going to do or what his intentions are. I am just going to leave it, and I'm just going to say that this book is a good book. It's a wonderful book, in fact, and it's a start to us having Virgin Islands history being taught in the schools. I am not going to argue about the merits of the book, about the fault, whatever faults the book have, or how good it is, and whatever what's missing, and all this type of thing. Yes, there are a few things that need to be revisited. Some revision with certain things, like a few minor things with dates and stuff like that. But I believe the book is a good start to us having a text to use in the schools for the teaching of Virgin Islands history. We can work from there. It's a start, it's a good start, and we can work and improve it as we go along. But to just sit back and throw up our hands and say, oh, we don't have a textbook, we don't have materials, is not the way to do it. You know, here we have a local author, a local writer who has bring forth a textbook that can be used in the schools. And I believe we should take advantage of that. We can always improve it as we go along. Somebody may come along and write something a little better, in the future. And that is to be expected because we always want to be improving. But until such time, I think the book can be used in the schools. I don't know if the department or anyone representing the Department of Education is aware of this book, know about the book. As I said, I didn't get to speak to the writer of the book at length. So I don't know his intentions really. The most I know is that the book was intended to be a textbook to be used in the schools. However, I don't know if it's being used yet or if there are any plans to use the book in the future, whatever it is. But I don't know anything like that. But I have a copy of the book and I've been, from time to time, been going through it and reading sections and whatnot. And I think the book is a very good start. It's a good text. And one of the things I like about how the book was written and how it was designed is that, as I mentioned last week, at the end of every chapter, the book has 12 chapters. Let me see. Yes, the book is divided up into 12 chapters. And at the end of every chapter, uh, he profiles at least four outstanding Virgin Islanders. Now, some of the people that he profiles, you can find in that book that we have already, Profiles of Famous of Outstanding Virgin Islanders. He did not use everybody in that book, and I would imagine it just wasn't possible to list everybody in that book, in his book. But he chose some people, he chose a good number of people from that book, as well as others who are not included in profiles of outstanding Virgin Islands. Because, for example, I see that he has profiled people like Stanley Jacobs, an esteemed musician, cultural bearer and cultural musician here, Stanley Jacobs. He is one that is included here. Uh, Another one who is included is Timothy Duncan, outstanding athlete, an NBA player, superstar. Timothy Duncan is not included in profiles, neither is Stanley Jacobs. The book was written, Profiles of Famous of Outstanding Virgin Islanders by Miss Ruth Molina, was written years before Stanley Jacobs was recognized for his cultural contributions, and was written before Mr. Timothy Duncan even got into playing sports, long before he became an athlete. The book was written, so their names are not included in profiles, but it is included here in this book by Howard Willox, By the Bayside. And there are a few other people who have been included at the end of every chapter. At the end of every chapter, he includes at least four people. The only difference I see here is that chapter 11 is almost to the end of the book, and he actually profiles more people from Ruth Molina's book. And there are people included here also in this section with chapter 11 in By the Bayside that are names that are not in Ruth Molina's book. So that is a good thing. I can applaud that. That's a good thing to recognize these outstanding Virgin Islanders. So at the end of every chapter, which is good because as the students complete a chapter, then they also have to become acquainted with the names at the end of the chapter, at the end of every chapter. And I think it's a very good idea, a very good way to design the book so that the students can learn Virgin Islands history and civics while at the same time learning about outstanding, the contributions of outstanding Virgin Islanders. So all of these things put together, I would say, makes the book a very good book. And it makes for a very good start. As I said before, it might not, some people may find fault with the book. It might not be satisfactory to each and every one of us, but I think the book is a very good start. And we can begin with this book. It is a book that we can start with and we can improve on it. If someone wants to come along and write something better, in the future, that's also good. That can be done. But for right now, I don't believe the department have any excuse about not having materials and not having a textbook, because this book by Harold Williams, By the Bayside, can be used on the elementary school level. Now, um, for the grades, the earlier grades before fourth grade, you're talking about kindergarten, first, second, and third. Uh, Teachers can actually, and it's not difficult. Teachers can break down, can use the same text and just break the information down in a simpler way for those earlier grades. That's something that can be done easily.
Check it out.
They can break the information down into a simpler version and to be taught to third, second, first, and kindergartners. Okay? So anyway, let me start and do a recap of all that, because I forgot to make a note of what chapter I finished on last time. So we're going to start again for those who may not have had the opportunity to hear what we did last time, or those who did not listen to the show last time. Again, this is a book entitled By the Bayside, and it's intended to be a textbook of Virgin Islands history and civics combined. Chapter 1 deals with the geography of the Virgin Islands. Okay. Chapter 1 deals uh, with the biography, with the geography of the Virgin Islands, and possibly a very good way to start also. So students can get familiar with the geography of the islands and the region in which we live. The geography deals with how the U.S. Virgin Islands were formed, the location of the Virgin Islands to each other using a compass, location of places to each other using a compass, the population of the Virgin Islands, the culture of the Virgin Islands, how the U.S. Virgin Islands were divided. And then at the end of that chapter, he profiles Denmark Vesey, Alfonso Piggy Gerard, who was an outstanding athlete, John D. Morwin, who was the first native-born governor. And then it ends with a review of chapter 1. Chapter 2 deals with the Virgin Islands of the United States, and this is a part of the civics here. St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands, talks about how St. Croix was founded and discovered and settled. Then it deals with the flags of the 7 countries that owned St. Croix. Then he deals with Christiansted, how it was laid out, how it was founded and laid out. Then the same thing, the town of Frederiksted, when it was founded and how it was laid out. Then he deals with St. Thomas, the island of St. Thomas. And then he deals with Charlotte Amalie, the capital, and how that town was laid out and founded during the Danish times. Then next he deals with St. John, the island of St. John. And then next he deals with Water Island. And then after that he deals with the Keys, Cays, the Keys or Keys. Those are the little small islands that are all around the Virgin Islands here. And we know you have a whole bunch of small little islands and islets, so what they call keys, all around the Virgin Islands, especially around St. Thomas and St. John area. There are a whole bunch of them. And the chapter concludes with dealing with our neighbors, which would probably be the British Virgin Islands. And then it talks about the Caribbean Sea. The chapter ends with, then it deals with the Atlantic Ocean. And at the end of that chapter, he profiles Miss Clarice Aldrina Thomas, Mr. Jose Antonio Jarvis, Miss Eulalie Rolson Rivera, and then it ends with a review of chapter 2. Then we move to chapter 3. Important facts about the Virgin Islands. This again deals with part of the civics. These are so it begins. Chapter 3 begins with the United States of America. Talks about the United States flag. Excuse me. Then he deals with the Virgin Islands flag. Then he talks about the Danish flag. Then he lists the official flower of the Virgin Islands, which is the ginger Thomas. Then he talks about the official bird, which we know to be the yellow breast. Some people call it the banana keat and all this type of thing, different names for it, but we know it as a yellow breast. That's the official bird. Then he talks about the official traditional music, which is Squelbe. Then he goes on to mention the official cultural dance, which has been designated as the quadrille. Then he goes on to mention the Virgin Islands anthem and then the Virgin Islands March. Well, the Virgin Islands March is actually the Virgin Islands anthem, also written by Alton Adams. Then he deals with the official seal of the Virgin Islands. Then he deals with the University of the Virgin Islands, and he talks about different tidbits, different knowledge. And we're at the top of the hour, folks, so we're going to pause here, make some money for the station, pay homage to our sponsors, and we're coming right back.
Find us on the World Wide Web at www.
Back to another Friday morning gathering of Around the Table here with your host, Dimitri Mikey Copeman. Let's take a call. Yes, good morning, caller, and welcome.
You and me us never part. Aki Dada. Take my copy away from me. Aki Dada. Mr. Copeman.
Yes, good morning. Good morning. I haven't heard the voice in a long time.
I like your dinner. I was like, what happened to my copy? And then I had to take a little trip and I came back and I regrouped. And, I was kind of under the weather and making my moves, but I'm back. And then I said, let me turn on the phone to see if I see you. And there you go.
Yes, well, I was out because I had a little eye surgery, so I was out for a couple of weeks.
Okay. We're glad that you're back. Mr. Copeman. Well, my goodness. I see that our VIP people is still under slumber.
Oh, yes.
Spell, okay? I call it a spell. It's just probably a week now. The lockdown not a lockdown. I'm going not too far. The shutdown was lifted. All right. Prior to that, November 4th, a lot of SNAP recipients and people will be like, oh, SNAP is full, stamp out, so forth. So they don't care. Morning, but everybody got to eat. The rich got to eat. The poor got to eat. Even down to the animals, everybody got to eat under the sun. But this umbrella don't just fall with eating food. This umbrella fall under our in-laws not getting their care, our people who have children with black grants and housing and all this. This is another same umbrella. Even down to federal workers who were greatly affected by this. Okay, so it was a whole ripple effect. If one didn't help one need to another thing, it shut down to another. But we went back comfortable because guess what? Gobi said, well, you know what? I want to write a book after his money said will make my legacy look good. So look, I'm gonna give her something. When you don't get something back here. And then the federal government said, you know what? We are going to open up. We're gonna shut this off until January, you know. So as diesel money is everything open back up, everybody get back into the zone, and guess what? We like it so. Now I see a picture by you cruise ship, a ship next to it, and I guess so business as usual. It didn't strike a red flag to nobody. When I came and talked in the same station with you guys, somebody said, it's good money for the economy when I talk about the man camping. Just now, I heard the Prime Minister to Jamaica talk about digital ID. All over different places like France and Sweden don't already implement digital ID. I just went to get my passport, taking my passport on get stamp, right? Mr. Coleman, not a thing goes through, everything is online, and I come 2026 when I asked the TSA lady, hey, so the shutdown over until January, which is in effect. What it's planning to do is digital ID, you know. Are you guys ready for that? You know, digital ID, when they install that chip in you, just like it will either a job for a job, the first test to see how they could control the masses. And it just takes one body to mess up for us to end up in martial law. For one of them sailors. Are we people still on a spell? Our hospital, a young lady called me telling her grandchild end up in a hospital with some you know, they always give some letter, right? But it's a virus. She said when she went in there, first of all, this is a respiratory virus. You know, we just now come from this pandemic which called COVID that's still up in the air, that's still saying going hospital is deplorable to high, still sending bodies to us, right? To send back. They call a pathologist. Dead bodies, you send it back, and that's money going. We still don't have an abattoir that in case they infect, why? Because it's distracting us with this extreme violence. They're distracting us, you know. But certain place, even to carriers can't fly it. The warships are already set up. It's just a matter of time at the click of the flick. We're into wars. What are we going to do there?
Well, all I'm going to say, son, is that, you know, the majority of people here live on islands voted for Alma Bryan, and that's what we got. And apparently, we seem to be satisfied. You know, there's only a few people complaining. Most people seem to be satisfied, or either they're afraid or something. But hey, you know, the man was a failure in the first 4 years, and you still give him another 4. What that says a lot about the people, man. You know. I mean, I don't want to keep harping on it because hey, we just next year is another election again. But I mean, you know, this is the portion that really have us in this mess that we're in. You know, and part of the uncertainty that we're facing is because of him. Because yeah, I mean, serious leaders would really take serious control. You know, and assure the people that hey, whatever it is looming there in the future, we're gonna face it, and we're being prepared to face it.
That's it. That's the thing I look at for. How are we prepared? And just like a hurricane season, right? We always say, okay, from this time to this time to plan. This is our time to start preparing for this storming. Because when I went to the supermarket, Mr. Kaufman, don't even talk about the AI. You know, people losing their jobs right now to artificial intelligence, that they have robots, Amazon done, they have people, and these different big corporations, truck drivers right now have AI working inside of their industry. Right now, I just found that they take off nothing as a degree, and they're replacing these things with robots. I mean, a lot of people comfortable now, you know. But when it hit them, they're going to feel like, wait, nobody tell us nothing, you know. And it's enemy to say, it's coming, it's done here. 2026, our utility bills supposed to be registered to the IRS. I guess it's going to be registered to the IRB for us because we don't have an IRS. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
But we under the same umbrella as America. Okay? And these devices right now, you take the job for a job. So when it is done, it's telling you, you got to put this chip in. What are you going to do? That's why I say a lot of churches out there sleeping with the government. Like every day, you got a pile of crap to pick from. Every day. You think that if you just go to the bathroom, no. The whole world, especially the VA, always get some kind of pile of crap to pick from. And we just, not we, but people are just comfortable under the bed. And what is your next solution? What is your solution? Are you buying the bags of rice so you can stock up in case they have a food shortage? Are you planting your food in case that, hey, or checking into your house to see what it is I could supply back up? What's your water supply? Because remember the last time you so comfortable St. Croix? I remember seeing St. Croix going through a lead situation. They kick out all them cast iron pipes and so forth and deal with the situation. I mean, how are we preparing? How are we being cultural people, you know, and so forth? Well, Mr. Copeland?
Yes. Yes.
Too late for me to pray, you know.
Yes, that's always. That is always.
Just the messenger. Okay?
Yes.
But I'm glad to hear you.
And I'm also glad to hear your voice too. Yes, man. I was glad to hear your voice. Always nice to hear your voice. And I admire your activism and you know your passion and everything like that. I just wish that the majority of people here in the Virgin Islands had the same determination, the same passion and everything that you have, because it's like you say, I don't want to call it that, but I will use your term. It's like, yes, it's like we under a spell. We seem to be sleeping and you know, we can't wake up. You know, we just seem to be like zombies, just going along to get along. You know?
All right, Grand Rising, Mr.
Yes. Okay. All right. And thank you for the call. All the best now. Yes. Good morning, Carla, and welcome.
Good morning.
Yes. Good morning.
Turn off my radio. Okay. Yeah. I was calling because a couple of things. One, I called yesterday trying to get in touch with Mary Moorhead, but she was out for a Board of Education meeting. But wanted to let her know that she won me over. That she and I have been debating for a while about the use of cell phones in school. She's against it, wants a total ban. I was saying that it didn't have to be that way, that if the administration cooperated with the teachers, that it could be that, you know, the policy that the board has now could work.
Yeah.
That, you know, that no cell phones unless in the classroom, unless the teacher says it's okay, to do it for some kind of a class activity, especially since we have bad internet. You know, the internet in the school systems a lot of times is down, and so this becomes, particularly for certain not every class. A lot of classes probably don't need it, but there are certain classes, especially in the high schools, need internet service for it to be effective, especially when competing with schools in the states. And so there are certain subject matters where our students be needed.
Right.
But the thing is, and it a policy like how the board has it now can work if the administration backs the teachers. That if a student has a cell phone out when the teacher didn't give him permission, that the teacher could take the cell phone and hold it till the end of class, and they get it back. And that punishment is for a lot of students is tremendous because a lot of them can't be without their cell phones. They can without it.
Well,
if they don't want to do that, then the teacher could call the monitor or whatever. They come take the cell phone, carry it to the office, and the student doesn't get it back till the end of school. And if it becomes a bigger problem, they don't get it back. The parent has to come and get it. If they don't like that, then they make a big fuss. Then it's like, okay, your parent has to now come get it. It can work.
Well,
it has worked in other districts.
Yeah, well, they have to do something because you can't have students just whipping out a cell phone in the middle of a class, instruction time, and doing his own thing and all this kind of thing. I mean, that can't be. You can't have that. But there should be some way that a student should be able to come in class and place your cell phone in some type of a container with your name on it or whatever.
They should even have to do that. That is if this first thing doesn't work, or then but they shouldn't have to.
Well, true. But
we're training them. We're training students for when they get out of school and they get in the workplace.
Right.
So in the workplace, they're going to have a cell phone, and they're going to have to learn how to behave themselves with it.
That's true.
When it's appropriate to have it, when it's not appropriate. So
that's it. Right. That is
the
true.
schools should be teaching the students this.
Yes.
That there's a time and place for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I'm out in the crowd, if I'm in my bathroom and I take off my pants and use the toilet, that's fine. But if I'm in Market Square and do the same thing, it's not fine.
Right.
The whole thing about life is timing, time and place. And that's what we're supposed to be teaching our children, because they're going to get out of school and they're going to be in the workplace. And if they haven't figured this out, it's going to be a problem in the workplace.
Yes, you're right. It's all about discipline. Yes. You're right. You're absolutely right.
But the only way this works is if the administration and the other adults back up the teacher. And I think your caller before was talking about what if the student is bigger than the teacher. But that's the case for everything. And what that is that it's not just the teacher in the classroom, it's the whole community backing up that teacher. So even though you're bigger than the teacher, you're not bigger than the rest of the community.
Right, but listen, I mean, it like you said, right? It should be relatively an easy thing, because as long as the administration and everybody else in the community gets behind this and back it up, it should work. The student, you come in a class, you don't use your cell phone in the class unless, as you said before, the teacher gives you permission, you're doing something related to the classwork on your phone. Other than that, your phone should not be used in the class. You wait until you go outside. If you want to use it during the time in between classes on your way to another class, that's fine. But once you come in the class, your phones are not to be used. I mean, that is an easy thing to understand, and it should be a relatively easy thing to implement. And as long as you said you have the backing of the administration and everybody else, it should work.
That is the problem. The society and the parents and the administration need to back up the teachers when they're doing something that is clearly the right thing to do. Now, if they're doing something wrong, that's a different thing. But not having
You're right.
What argument can you make?
You're right. I went through 12 years of school. We didn't have any cell phone.
Well,
If
it's not
you,
only that, but like my children, so maybe 5th grade or 6th grade, carried a cell phone to school. I told them, that cell phone should be in your bag all the time during school time. If your teacher shouldn't even know you have a cell phone. If your teacher comes and complains to me about you and anything with a cell phone, I am taking it away from you because apparently you can't use it. I told them this from the beginning.
Mhm.
Your teacher should not even know you own one because they shouldn't even see it.
right.
And I had zero problems with it. No teacher ever complained about my children and their cell phone because they knew I was serious about this.
Right. Right.
And they knew I backed up the teachers. And I said, what excuse could they have that their teacher knows they have a cell phone? They had none. And so this is something that can work. It works elsewhere, but it takes the adults in the community being on the same page and working with each other.
Yes.
But it doesn't seem to be happening here. And so at that point, then you need to go to a total ban. If the parents and the adults in the community cannot agree on children not using their cell phones inappropriately at inappropriate times, then there needs to be an enforcement, a ban across the board.
I tend to agree with you. Yes, I tend to agree. I tend to agree with you.
Yeah.
You know, hey, I don't see any.
We are supposed to be teaching the young people how to become a productive member of society.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
They can't be in court with their cell phone having a conversation.
Right. That's right.
The police interview, they can't be on their cell phone when they're being questioned. We know this. We know that there are times when people cannot be on their cell phones there are certain places where you're not allowed to carry your cell phone. You can't carry your cell phone into the courthouse. Mm-hmm. And there's reasons for it. There's reasons why children. So one of the problems with children having their cell phones out in class is because they can put it on voice record, and the screen is blank, so nobody knows they're recording.
Well, but even more than that,
one young person says something personal. They may tell the teacher, or they may blurt it out. Young people, not thinking about consequences. They now say something that is personal and embarrassing. And now this child has it, another child has it on recording where they can share that with hundreds of people.
Right. But even more than that, listen, even more than that, this thing is a distraction, man. It's a distraction. Yeah, it should not be.
But it's also a mental health issue. It's stuff that can lead to bullying.
Yes.
And it's not like there are days when a child, you say something in class that you probably shouldn't have, but only, 10, 20 people hear it. And half of them are going to forget it before they leave class. But now with a cell phone, ain't just 20 people hearing it. And it ain't forgetting anything.
Right. Yeah,
so this is a major, can cause a lot of mental health problems with our children, a lot of bullying and a lot of fights. Mm-hmm. It's not just a simple thing. A lot of parents don't think about the way it can become a problem and has become a problem.
Well, it's strange. What the thing that always get to me is this. Whenever public schools are able to enforce their policies and their regulations, and parents, they don't complain. But the minute the public school tries to do that same thing, everybody is up in arms. I don't understand it. They go right along with the private schools. Whatever the private schools say, they go right along with it. They don't question it. And if they have any question, they simply just probably don't send the child to that private school. Right. But whenever the public school does these things for the betterment of the school, everybody is up in arms. Everybody criticize the public school, and you know, I just don't understand it.
I can understand with cell phones that it does give you some safety, some assurance.
Yeah, yes, of course, we're not against that. We're not against that, but
and there are some benefits, true benefits of children having cell phones after school, not in the middle of the class. In the middle of the class, there's no justification for in the middle of class. And you have parents sometimes calling their children in the middle of class for something that's not emergency.
Yeah.
Now, if their grandfather died and you now need to pick them, or their grandfather got into an accident, or their mother got into an accident, and you need to for them to immediately come out to the class and come pick them up or something, that's one thing. But that's not really what's happening.
But listen, but you know something, I don't think it's right that a parent should call a student on their cell phone, whether it's in class or not, but you could call your student on the phone and just and it's an emergency, and you're talking to your student only about this emergency. I think the proper procedure would be to go through the school. You need, you got to.
It doesn't have to be involved because the student is supposed to just walk off campus.
Right, exactly.
So even in those cases, a call to the office is the better thing.
Exactly.
Calling your child in the middle of class, it's better that the principal or some adult tells your child this and can help your child deal with emotions that are going to be involved in this until you get there. Calling your child in the middle of class, telling them that their grandfather died or their mother.
That's a big distraction, man. That's
and the teacher doesn't know that you just called the child and gave them that impression. So the child starts acting up and the teacher has no clue what's going on.
Exactly.
And they start disciplining your child for their behavior. While if they knew, if you called the office, somebody came up, pulled the child out of class, and then told them, and are there with the child until you arrive, helping the child deal with their emotions about whatever it is going on.
Yeah.
So calling the child, you're right. Calling the child directly is not a good idea at all. And eventually, even if you did that, eventually somebody in the office has to know what's going on.
Right, because yes.
Yeah, so it's not a good idea at all.
Mm-hmm.
So while they're in school, there's no legitimate reason for your child to be getting phone calls. Yeah, there really isn't. I didn't even think about that. But
and then the parent or guardian should be a little more familiar with the student's schedule in school, so that you would want to call at a time when that student would be at lunch or have a free period or something, rather than in the middle of a class.
That is not. There really is no justification for that. I'm thinking it through. That could cause further problems.
Yes.
And now it's not just your child being disrupted by whatever happened. It's their whole class.
Yes.
It's like everybody's grandmother got hit by a car because the class is now disrupted, and the odds of them learning anything more for the rest of that class period is rather low.
That's right. That whole class mash up for the day. Yeah.
So it's not just your child now; it's 20 other children. Is now and having to deal with whatever trauma that is going on or whatever problem that's going on. Yeah, so they really need to get a handle on this.
Yeah.
And I don't think the total ban is the best thing, because I said they need to learn the etiquettes of thing, and the school is the best place for. That's where they're learning all kinds of other stuff.
Right.
But if the schools are showing that they cannot handle it, then the next best thing is a total ban.
All right. Well, thank you for that input, man. I mean, and it's
before before I go, one last thing. And I'll try to make it quick. Parents need to watch out for these AI toys that are coming out for children. They've done some tests on some of them are fine, and they have protocols in place where it doesn't discuss bad things with the children.
Mm-hmm.
And these are children as young as 4 and 5. They have found others don't, and others have eventually, the conversations start out benign, but then they evolve to the point of them telling the child where the best place to find matches and knives in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Telling the child about sexual stuff.
Right.
So this Christmas coming up, do some research before you buy your children any AI toy.
Mm-hmm.
There's some companies that are good, and there are some companies there's no bounds, there's no limit. And they may start out, so you buy it, you listen with the child initially, and 9 things, nothing big. 6 months later, they're telling your child where to find knives and matches in the house.
Oh. Well, yeah.
So do your research.
Okay, man. Okay. All right, man. Thank you for the call. Thank you.
No problem.
Yes, and this that's the whole thing with students in school is a very delicate matter, very tricky, but wow. So I tell you, let's see. But anyway, let's see here. Good morning, Carla, and welcome.
Yeah, Pikey, good Friday morning to you.
Yes, man. Good Friday morning to you too, man. How you doing?
I came out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just yesterday, I had the good fortune of who show there was somebody show yesterday anyway, the day before, and following the Mr. CC on the same subject matter of the use of cell phones by students in the classroom. I have mentioned before, because I was asked by Peggy how it is dealt with in, let's say, West Palm Beach and Houston, Texas, where I live.
Mm-hmm.
I explained how we dealt with that was we would have the children deliver the cell phone to a box, it's a locked container. The name is on the phone, it's a sticker, put something on it. And, after school is over, they would come and get the phone. It started working very, very, very well, I must say. Particularly for the black youth Mandela, because seemingly since they are so much engrossed, if that's the correct word, or focused on whatever they focus on, since they didn't have the phone to be focused on, they focused more attention on the lesson at hand. So the grades started going up in the black youth Mandela. The positive, negative side of that was the very parents who are raising hell. They can reach the child, and in case they bump into the child, need to call them, and this and that and the other. And then the administration caved in and gave the children back the phone.
What?
Yeah.
So what was happening? I mean, why I don't understand how people think, because what was happening before they had cell phones? How you used to get in touch with your child before you had cell phone?
Well, I am sure you was in the same day as us back then, as now you agreed with me. The only cell phone we had was 2 milk cans with a piece of string. That's how we talking to one another.
Right?
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't understand. If you don't have a cell phone and you're going to die, I mean, seriously, I see some people. I know a friend of mine that he had already traveled about 10 miles away from home, and he turned back because he realized he didn't have a cell phone. He said he can't go without it.
along the
10
same line.
miles, 10 miles. I mean, that would have to wait for me.
Well, I mean, if I go around the corner and I have it, I got
Right.
you know. But another thing part of that, and this is something that I witnessed firsthand. It was at a repast of a funeral. The young lady was a child for this young man whose family is, there are black people, but the family is very well off. So she has a daughter with him, and of course, whatever the daughter was, she got a daddy. She's a daddy girl, and he's gonna give it to her. So she went to her father complaining about the cell phone that she has. They can't do this, they can't do that, they consider the reader. Right away, he apparently being very forced at these things, he went to whatever site he would go to, and he's showing her all of these phones. And she said, this one, daddy. And he said, okay, I'm going to order it right now. The mother was there furious, telling them not to do it. The child's mother. He still do it. I mean, could you see what's happening between, I mean, you see what's going on?
Yes, yes, yes. Hey, that's a recipe for problems, there, man.
It's just craziness. Craziness. But let me switch quick and go because the time will run up. The governor and the CEO of WAPA continue to tell some bold-faced lies. I put something out, send it to them, send it to a million people, send it all about, and send it to the powers to be in Washington, because they are saying now that the power outages are due to late delivery of fuel, which I call poppycock. No, it's not late. What has happened to WAPA because they owe the fuel supplier millions of dollars? It is cash and the barrel head.
Mm-hmm.
If it's $12 million worth of fuel, you got to pay that, then I'll give you the fuel.
Mm-hmm.
So stop lying to the people. The second one was that they continue to tell, well, you see what happened, Paul gone up again, we got to rotate because of lack of generating capacity. If they tell that to a jackass, he would kick them in the face. Okay, I know better, so I will tell people better. Now, what happened is, and you can't like it, so I don't know if he tried to not listen to the governor too much and say the right thing, but sometimes it slip up. Because I put some question on the tail the other day in a talk show, and I get him to what we would say in a lingo, cough up. I said, okay, tell me something. You got these 6 and 7 megawatt German watt fillers. Say yes. They can't carry the load. He said yes. I said, no matter how you group them or band them, once one fall, they all will fall and set a domino. He said yes. I said, what happened to the 25 and 35 megawatt Westinghouse and GE units? Well, you know them things done for a long time. They're done for Jesus Christ, they bring them up. 5 days, not carrying the load, we got them done far. I continue to roll the dice at some 6 and 7 megawatt units. But you see, they're stupid enough. They're the same Tom drunk, but Tom ain't stupid. They know exactly what they're doing. They try to bring the system down to where it will be fully, that is 80% already privatized. When it's fully privatized, then we'll find out how big of a poop is. The private companies don't work for fear. They got a profit margin and they don't deal with politics. So where you might be getting a more productive
and plain water, you're going to fetch your friend. Like,
Wow.
Yeah, that's why.
Yes, sir.
Stop lying to the people,
Wow.
man. Stop lying to the people. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, man. All right, take it off.
Yes, I.
Yes, son. Well, it never ends, my son. It never ends. It's the same thing with Papa. We're gonna be plagued with this thing with Papa, I guess, forever, my son. I don't know. But anyway, let me go back to this book here, and yes, I was saying at the end of chapter 3 of the book, By the Bayside, he deals with Arthur A. Richards, profiles Arthur A. Richards, Stanley Jacobs, Alton Augustus Adams, and then he deals with a review of chapter 3. Yes. And chapter 4, move on to chapter 4, he deals with weather and climate. Weather and climate. He talks about temperature in one section, weather, climate, talks about the seasons, temperature of the Virgin Islands, average temperature and rainfall of the Virgin Islands, natural disasters that threaten the Virgin Islands, hurricanes. He talks about the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale, the hurricane definitions, parts of a hurricane, tornadoes, earthquakes, aftershocks, floods, and wildfires. These are all natural disasters that take place in the Virgin Islands, and the book deals with all of that, which is very good. Students need to be familiar with these things. And then at the end of chapter 4, he profiles Enid Maria Bach, Guy H. Benjamin, and Charles Henry Emmanuel, and then ends with a review of chapter 4. Chapter 5 deals with the history now, starting to deal with history, the early history of the Virgin Islands. Then it talks about the Africans, talks about the Europeans, Denmark, and the Virgin Islands, and then it ends off with a profile of Edward Wilmot Blyden, Jean Emmanuel, Amira Clarita Natalia Burner, Barnett. Oh, sorry, Amita Clarita Natalia Barnett. 3 outstanding Virgin Islanders. And then it ends off with a review of chapter 5. Then he goes to chapter 6. Chapter 6 deals with slavery, Danish slavery, the triangular trade, the Middle Passage, slavery in the Virgin Islands, the life of the slaves, the great houses, the slave quarters, the cane field, harvest time, and then the chapter finishes out with a profile on Brother Cornelius, Judah Philip Benjamin, and Peter Jackson. And it ends with a review of chapter 6. Chapter 7 deals with rebellion. Under rebellion, he deals with the conspiracy, the Maroons, the 1733 rebellion, the 1848 emancipation, the 1878 firebomb, the coal workers' strike took place in St. Thomas with Queen Kosiah. Then he profiles Moses Bodo Gottlieb. He also profiles the queens of the 1878 firebomb: Queen Mary Thomas, Queen Agnes Solomon, and Susanna Abramson, who was known as Bottom Belly. And this is one of the revisions that Mr. Willox will have to make here, because he has Susanna Abramson, Bottom Belly, being the same person as Queen Matilda. We now know from research that was done by former Senator Wayne James that Susanna Abramson, who was known as Bottom Belly, and Queen Matilda were 2 different people. Queen Matilda was Matilda McBean, was her name, and Susanna Bottom Belly's name was Susanna Abramson. So we know today that these were 2 different people, and instead of there being basically 3 queens, there were 4 queens. Mary Thomas, Agnes Solomon, Susanna Abramson, and Matilda McBean. The chapter finishes out with a review of chapter 7. Chapter 8 talks about life under American rule. And under American rule, it deals with the Navy rule when the Navy was running, administering the islands. Then he talks about United States citizenship. Then he goes on to mention civilian rule, then the 1936 Organic Act, and the 1954 Revised Organic Act. And the chapter finishes out with a profile of Rothschild Francis, the great Rothschild Francis. And then it finishes with a review of chapter 8. Chapter 9 deals with our government. And this again gets into more of the civics part of it now. Our government, it deals with the executive branch, the elected governors of the Virgin Islands, the legislative branch, deals with how a bill becomes a law, talks about that, there's a whole section on that, how a bill becomes a law. A section on the judicial branch, then there's a section on the Virgin Islands Supreme Court, and then there's a section on the Superior Court of the Virgin Islands. And then there's a section that deals with checks and balances. Then there's a section that deals with the District Court of the Virgin Islands. Then another section deals with Third Circuit Court of Appeals. Another section deals with the Supreme Court of the United States. Another section deals with Delegate to Congress. And then the chapter finishes out with a profile on Melvin H. Evans, Richard Herbert Amphlett Leader, and Donna Christensen. And then the chapter finishes with a review of chapter 9. Chapter 10 deals again with civics. And under civics, he deals with what is a citizen. The next section deals with what is citizenship. Another section deals with the role of a good citizen. Another section deals with obeys the laws. And another section deals with voting and how you vote. Another section deals with taking part in civic activities. Next section deals with respect the rights of others. Another section talks about a good citizen versus a bad citizen. Another section deals with rights and responsibilities of a citizen. Another section deals with the Constitution of the United States. Another section deals with the Bill of Rights. Another section deals with the 1954 Revised Organic Act. And then the chapter finishes out with a profile on Timothy Duncan, William Leadersdorf, and Lucinda Millen, 3 outstanding Virgin Islanders. And then the chapter finishes with a review of chapter 10. Chapter 11 deals with a biography of outstanding Virgin Islanders. And he deals with some of the people, again, who were included in Profiles, the book by Miss Ruth Nolliner, as well as people who were not included in Profiles. And I'm going to just read up on the names of those people who are listed in chapter 11. David Hamilton Jackson, James Augustus Bow, William Hasty, Ashley L. Totten, Earl B. Utley, Claude A. Benjamin, Kevin Krieger, and he wasn't included in Profiles, but he's included here. Kevin Krieger, we know, is a jockey, a local jockey who, one of the first of local jockeys to ride in the Kentucky Derby races. And then he talks about, goes on to speak about Justice Reese Shelley Hodge, Reese Hodge. Then also speak about Maria M. Cabret, Ive Arlington Swan, Alexander Anthony Farrelly, Juan Francisco Louis, Vaughn Antonio Hodge, Eileen Ramona Peterson, Almeric Leander Christian, Wilma A. Lewis, Anne Elizabeth Christian Abramson, Ruby M. Rouse, Wilfred Fred Thomas, and Ron DeLugo. And then the chapter finishes out with a review of chapter 11. Chapter 12 deals with holidays, the various holidays that are celebrated here in the Virgin Islands. And it talks about January 1st, which is New Year's Day, January 6th, Three Kings Day, the third Monday in January, which is Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, the third Monday in February, which is President's Day, March 31st, known as Transfer Day, the Thursday before Easter, which is known as Holy Thursday, Friday before Easter, which is Good Friday, Monday after Easter, which is Easter Monday, last Monday in May, which is Memorial Day, July 3rd, Emancipation Day, July 4th, American Independence Day, first Monday in September is Labor Day, second Monday in October, Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico Friendship Day, Monday, November 1st, which is Liberty Day, or David Hamilton Jackson Day, the fourth Thursday of November, which is Thanksgiving Day, then December 25th, Christmas Day, December 26th, Boxing Day or Christmas Second Day, December 31st, Old Year's Day or New Year's Eve. And then he talks about days that are observed but not celebrated as a holiday. These days are observed as special days, but they're not observed as holidays. And these days include March 17th, which is St. Patrick's Day, second Sunday in May, which is Mother's Day, third Sunday in June, Father's Day, the fourth Monday in July, which is Hurricane Supplication Day, and October 25th, Hurricane Thanksgiving Day. And then it finishes up with a review of chapter 12, the final chapter. And then the book ends out with a glossary and then an appendix 1. The appendix 1 deals with the judicial branch, judges, magistrate judges, and magistrate judges of the district court. Then it deals with magistrate judges, and then it deals with the justices of the Virgin Islands Supreme Court, and then judges of the territorial or supreme or superior court of the Virgin Islands. The appendix 2 deals with the executive branch, naval governments of the Virgin Islands, and then it deals with a section under American rule. Then you have civilian governors of the Virgin Islands, and then it deals with elected governors of the Virgin Islands. Then there's appendix 3. Appendix number 3 deals with government secretaries or lieutenant governors of the Virgin Islands. Then appendix 4. Appendix number 4 deals with the legislative branch and presidents of the U.S. Virgin Islands legislature. And then there's a section that deals with the various legislatures. And I don't know how far he goes, but I think he goes back to the first elected municipal councils in the 1950s there. And then there's a selected bibliography and an index. But and that ends the book. But it's a hardcover book, and there are pictures. Some pictures they're mostly black and white pictures, but I believe there are some colored. There are some colored pictures in the book, but it's also mostly black and white pictures. But the book is a good book as terms of a text. In terms of a textbook to be used for 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, and even onto the 7th and 8th grade. It can be used, and if possible, the book can be even used on maybe even on a high school level. But it was written in a very, very simple language, very easy language to read. And that is why I classify it more as a book for the elementary and junior high level. But a high schooler can also read it and become very knowledgeable and gain very valuable knowledge from it also. Yes. So if anything, maybe next week I could probably just touch on some of these things again. But because I don't know too much about how the book is being used or whether it is being used or whether it's being planned, if there's any plans for it to be used in the school. I haven't been able to get in touch with Mr. Wstx again since he gave me the book. But he gave me a copy, and I have decided to just make a quick informal review of the book. Mostly told me that it's a book that he has planned for usage in the school. And again, it makes a good start. This is one of the best books I've seen so far, and that deals with the Fortnite history for the elementary school level. It makes a very, very good start. And I don't believe the department have any excuses. They could make any more excuse about not having the materials and not having books, because here we have a book that could be used. And Mr. Willocks also has a more advanced book that could be used on the high school level and has been used at the high school level already. And as a matter of fact, I believe that book is still being used at the St. Croix Educational Complex. And I'm speaking about the book entitled The Umbilical Cord. It's a history of the Virgin Islands. I believe that book, it was used for a number of years at the complex, St. Croix Educational Complex, and I want to believe it's still being used. Okay, and that's at high school level. But here we have one now on the elementary school level that can be used. So the Department of Education they have no excuse. Teachers, they don't have any excuse. You can use the book. You can, you know, get information from the book and break it down into a much simpler level. If you're teaching kindergarten, first grade, second or third grade, you can always break it down in a much simpler level and expose the children to some Virgin Islands history from those earlier grades. Yes. And anyway, Jennifer, when you get a chance, we are just almost up to the top of the hour, folks. And I just want to remind you that Ross will be in here today, this morning, sitting in for Brother R. I haven't seen Brother R in a while, but Brother Ross Christopher will be in here this morning, sitting in here. Okay. But anyway, Brother Ross will be in this morning. And so those who have been waiting around can just hang tight, because I will be finishing in a few minutes and making room for Brother Ross to come in and do his thing. Yes, and so yes. So those were calling me the bionic man. Yes, I had some surgery done on my eye, on my one eye, and I have to say that placing ophthalmology did an excellent job. Didn't have to go off island for that at all, and that was done right here on island, and they did an excellent job. Yes. How much time we got left?
Right, like 2 minutes.
Yeah. Well, we don't have enough time. Okay. We will save the Christmas music for the next show. But since we are almost at the end of November, next week is Thanksgiving, and I usually like to start playing some Christmas music, but we have run out of time, and just want to wish everybody a happy weekend and coming week, and stay safe. And I believe, I'm not sure, but I believe there might be some music in Frederickson town this evening. If I'm not mistaken, this is the third Friday of the month, and which is usually the time for the Sunset Jazz, which is now being called Rhythms at Sunset. It is usually held on the third Friday of every month in Frederickstead, beginning around 6 o'clock. The free music concerts here. And I want to believe that there will be one this evening. I'm not sure. I haven't seen any advertisements anywhere in the newspaper or anything. And I have to speak to some of those people who are in charge of that, and they have to start advertising this thing a little better. They need to put it on the radio, or either put the advertisement in the newspaper so that people can know. Yes, because a lot of people really look forward to these music concerts every month, man. It's a real enjoyment for a lot of people. Some people they may not say it, but people really look forward to the free music concerts down in Fredericksburg. The rhythms at sunset, man. It's something that people really love and look forward to. So I think the people in charge of that need to do a little better job in terms of spreading the message and advertising a little bit better, either in the news. I haven't seen anything in newspaper. I don't hear anything on the radio. But folks, that's about it. Just once again, have a happy and safe week and weekend until we meet here next week for some more around the table. Good morning.
WSTXradio.com. WSTX AM and FM, streaming all conscious reggae and